The card reader on Leah Patterson's desk chirped, and my phone lit up beside my untouched coffee. Harbor Light Home Care, $2,840.00. Linda was still explaining to the care coordinator how difficult I had made Daniel's life. He's had to carry everything, she said. His mother recovering, his fiancé unable to drive. Poor man has been taking care of 2 women, and one of them is supposed to be his partner. Aunt Diane gave me a sympathetic smile. A burden is a burden, even when you love her. Daniel studied the folder in front of him. He said nothing. Leah slid a 6-month renewal across the table. And this keeps the same weekday coverage. We'll revisit weekends next month. Thank you for paying, Linda told Daniel. He accepted Leah's pen from the blue ceramic cup I'd given his mother for Christmas 3 years earlier and signed. I watched him hand the renewal back. Then I turned my phone around so everyone could see the charge. Who authorized my card? Daniel's eyes rose to mine. Not startled, not confused, cornered. Leah reached for my phone before thinking better of it. Is that the Visa ending in 4618? Yes. The payment method on Linda's account. It was used once for the intake deposit. Daniel's hand closed over the pen. Mara, let's not do this here. Where should we do it? His mother adjusted the shawl around her shoulders, though the conference room was warm enough that sweat had collected beneath my wrist brace. Linda's shawl was cream cashmere, a gift from us last winter. I had picked it out, wrapped it, and reminded Daniel to call her before she opened it. Leah clicked through something on her laptop. The little houses painted around the ceramic cup stared back at me from her desk. White roofs, blue windows, a gold line under each door. I have authorization notes, she said carefully. Mr. Mercer confirmed the card for continued service. Mr. Mercer isn't on that card. Leah's expression changed by half an inch. That was enough. Daniel set the pen down. I confirmed the card we've been using. I didn't pretend it was mine. You changed the billing email, so I could keep track of it. Why did you need to keep track of charges on my card without me seeing them? Aunt Diane looked at Linda. Linda looked at Daniel. It happened quickly. That silent family reflex, everybody checking the strongest branch before putting weight on it. Daniel leaned toward me. His voice dropped into the patient register he used when he wanted other people to admire him for managing me. We talked about this. We talked about the deposit. And keeping Mom covered until the condo sells. You said you were handling that. I am handling it. My phone remained between us, the number still glowing on the screen. Leah cleared her throat. For clarity, today's charge is the 4th payment processed on this card. For a few seconds, I thought I had misheard her. The air vent hummed over our heads. Somewhere outside the conference room, a copier started and stopped. The 4th? Leah turned the laptop slightly, then hesitated. I can print the billing history. Daniel pushed his chair back. This is an administrative issue. We don't need to involve everyone. Linda's mouth tightened. My care is not an administrative issue. No, I said. Apparently, it's my subscription. Diane made a small choking sound that might have been a laugh. She hid it with a cough. Daniel didn't. That's not funny. I agree. Linda placed both palms on the table. Her nails were painted a pale pink that matched the stripe in her shawl. Mara, you know I would never ask you to pay for my care. It was almost convincing. Linda's best sentences usually were, because they arrived dressed as innocents. Then we should have no problem fixing this. You make everything sound so ugly. She looked at Leah, seeking a witness. We're a family. We've all been helping each other. Mara has needed quite a bit of help herself lately. My brace suddenly felt enormous. 8 weeks earlier, a surgeon had repaired 2 torn ligaments in my right wrist after I slipped on black ice outside our townhouse. I could type again, slowly. I could shower without a plastic sleeve. I could not drive safely, open a stubborn jar, or carry a full laundry basket without pain shooting to my elbow. Daniel had driven me to the surgical center and brought me home. Since then, he had mentioned that day at least once a week. "The doctor says I'll be cleared to drive soon," I said. "That isn't the point," Linda replied. "The point is, Daniel doesn't measure every favor." I looked at him. "Is that what this is? A favor you did for me? So you used my card for your mother?" He rubbed his jaw. "No one said that." Linda had just said exactly that, but correcting her would only give Daniel a chance to discuss my tone. Leah rose. "I'm going to get a copy of the account notes." "You don't have to," Daniel said. "Yes," she replied. "I do." The door clicked shut behind her. The second it did, Daniel's composure fell away. "What were you thinking?" he asked me. I blinked. "When?" "Putting her on the spot like that. She's the care coordinator, Mara. She doesn't know our finances." "Neither do I, apparently." "I was going to tell you." "When?" "The condo has an offer. We close in 5 weeks. I was going to pay the card before interest hit." "My card is set to auto-pay in full." He stared at me. That answer seemed to interfere with something. I saw him rearranging numbers in his head. "You've already paid it?" he asked. "I pay my cards every month." Aunt Diane shifted in her seat. "Daniel, how much has gone on there?" He ignored her. I opened my banking app. My hands were clumsy because I had to use the fingers sticking out of the brace. Daniel watched me search, his impatience increasing each time I mistyped. Harblight had billed under 2 slightly different merchant names. The first deposit was there, the one I knew about, then another charge 6 weeks later, another after that. Smaller incidental charges appeared between them: holiday coverage, transportation, a medication pickup fee. I had missed them because that account handled most of our household spending, and I had been recovering, working reduced hours, swallowing pain pills that made every evening feel covered in drier lint. The total was a little over $10,000. I turned the screen off. Linda exhaled as though I were being dramatic with oxygen. "The condo will cover it." "The condo isn't sold. It will be. And if it isn't?" Daniel's voice sharpened. "It will be." I watched him, trying to locate the man I was supposed to marry in 11 weeks. He was still physically there, gray sweater pushed to his elbows, silver watch I'd bought him for our anniversary, dark hair curling at the neck because he had missed his last haircut. I knew the faint scar near his chin and the way he flattened straw wrappers before throwing them away. I knew he hated fennel, cried at retirement speeches, and called his mother every Sunday at precisely 9. But I did not know how many times he could type my card number from memory. Leah returned with a stapled packet and another woman in a navy jacket. The woman introduced herself as the branch manager, then sat beside Leah. The renewal remained in front of Daniel, his signature drying at the bottom. The branch manager spoke gently. "Ms. Ellis, we can remove your payment method immediately. We'll also review the authorizations attached to each transaction. Please remove it." Daniel turned toward me. "Wait." Linda's face went white beneath her blush. "What happens to my aides?" "The current week is covered," Leah said. "For future service, we'll need another payment method." "I can give you one," Daniel said, but he didn't reach for his wallet. "Today?" the branch manager asked. "The house sale is pending. We require a valid card or bank authorization." Linda looked at me, not pleading, assessing. "You would leave me without care over a misunderstanding?" There it was, the trap presented as a question. If I said no, my card stayed. If I said yes, I became the woman they had already described. "I'm not canceling your care," I said. "I'm stopping unauthorized charges to my account." "Same result," Daniel muttered. "No, the result is that the man who signed the renewal pays for it." His nostrils flared. "Can we have 5 minutes alone?" The branch manager offered us the conference room, but I didn't want privacy anymore. Privacy was where Daniel's explanations grew soft edges. "No." "Mara." "No. Remove the card." The manager nodded to Leah. Her keyboard began clicking. Linda stared at the blue cup. I always knew money would become an issue. I almost asked what that meant. Instead, I watched Leah delete the saved visa and print a confirmation. The paper came out warm. She placed it in front of me with the billing history. Daniel stood so abruptly that his chair struck the wall. "I'll take Mom home." "I brought her," Diane said. He looked at his aunt as if she had switched sides in a war she hadn't known she was fighting. Diane gathered her purse. "You and Mara should talk." Linda rose slowly, favoring her left hip. Her recovery had gone well, but she moved more carefully when there was an audience. I had learned that without letting myself know I had learned it. At the door, she paused beside me. "I hope," she said quietly, "that when you're my age, people show you more grace than you've shown me today." Then she left with Diane. Daniel stayed behind long enough to take the signed renewal. He folded it once, crushing the edge against his palm. In the parking lot, cold wind lifted dead leaves around the concrete wheel stops. I headed for the passenger side of his SUV out of habit. He unlocked it, but didn't open my door as he had since the surgery. I managed the heavy handle with my left hand and climbed in. For several blocks, the only sound was the turn signal. "I cannot believe you did that," he finally said. I kept the billing history on my lap. "You used my card 4 times. For my mother's care." You say that like the noun changes the verb. "She fell in her bathroom. She couldn't come home without help." "I found Harbor Light. I interviewed the aides. I paid the deposit because your card was declined." "It wasn't declined. The bank flagged it." "You told me it was maxed out." He gripped the steering wheel. "Temporarily." A delivery truck pulled out ahead of us. Daniel braked hard and the seatbelt caught my shoulder. "You knew I would say no," I said. "I knew you would make me justify it for 3 days while Mom sat in rehab wondering if she had help. So you decided for me." I solved the problem. With my money. With our money. We don't have an our credit card. We're getting married. Then why change the billing email? He opened his mouth, but nothing came. The unanswered question sat between us all the way home. Our townhouse looked exactly as it had that morning. Brick steps, brass porch light, winter wreath I kept meaning to take down. Inside, 3 pairs of Linda's shoes were lined beneath the entry bench. Walking shoes, house slippers, and black flats for church. She'd gone back to her condo 5 weeks ago. I nudged off my boots. Daniel tossed his keys into the blue glass bowl on the console table. It belonged to the same set as the tumblers my grandmother had left me. He liked the bowl there because it was the perfect size for keys, receipts, and the loose change he never spent. "I need to call the realtor," he said. "I need your laptop." His head turned. "Why?" "The Harbor Light emails went to you. I want to see them." "You have the printout. I want the emails." He laughed once without humor. "You're not conducting an investigation. I'm asking my fiancé to show me messages about charges he put on my card. And if I say no?" The house seemed to hold still. Behind him, one of Linda's spare keys hung on the little brass hook beside the pantry, tied with a blue ribbon so she could distinguish it from her condo key. I looked at the key, then at the bowl containing Daniel's. "If you say no," I told him, "I stop wondering whether this was a misunderstanding." He stood there for several seconds. Then he went upstairs. I heard a drawer open, another shut. Water ran briefly in the bathroom. He came down wearing a different sweater, carrying his laptop under one arm. "I'll show you," he said, "but you're going to read everything in context." He opened the computer at the kitchen island and signed in without letting me see the password. A folder in his email was labeled Mom Care. There were messages from Leah, invoices, shift summaries, scheduling problems I recognized because I had fixed most of them by phone. Daniel opened the billing thread. The earliest message was from the week after Linda left rehab. "Please confirm authorization to retain visa, ending 4618 for ongoing weekly charges." Daniel's reply was one line, "Confirmed. Please direct receipts to this email going forward." I read it twice. Below that, a later message warned that the stored authorization had originally been signed by Mara Ellis and requested updated written approval. Daniel had replied, Mara and I share household finances. I'm authorized to approve family medical expenses. I sat down. Daniel remained standing, one hand braced on the island. That's the context. You told them you were authorized. We do share finances. That isn't what they asked. Mara, couples sign for each other every day. Then why didn't you sign my name? His face changed, only for a moment, but I saw the answer. He hadn't signed my name because that would have felt like fraud. What he had done felt different to him, cleaner, almost noble. He reached for the laptop. I put my left hand on the screen. There are more emails. We've seen enough. I agree. I released it. He closed the laptop and rubbed both hands over his face. I will move the balance. Give me until the condo closes. And the renewal? We can't cancel it. I didn't ask whether we could. He dropped his hands. If Mom falls again because we pull coverage, can you live with that? The question landed exactly where he aimed it. For 2 months, I had pictured Linda on the bathroom floor whenever anyone discussed reducing her hours. I had been the one who found the raised toilet seat, the shower bench, the aide with the calm voice Linda liked. I knew which mornings she woke dizzy and which pills upset her stomach. Daniel knew that I knew. He stepped closer. Just leave the card on file for 5 more weeks. I'll sign something if that makes you feel safer. Safer. As if the danger were my imagination. I picked up the warm confirmation sheet from Harbor Light and folded it around the billing history. I'm going upstairs. We're in the middle of a conversation. No, you're in the middle of asking again because taking it wasn't enough. In our bedroom, I shut the door and sat on the edge of the bed. My wrist throbbed. On the dresser stood a blue glass tumbler full of the dried lavender from my grandmother's last garden. Daniel had complained that it shed dust, so I kept it on my side. I called the number on the back of my card. While the automated voice asked me to state the reason for my call, I looked at that glass and remembered wrapping 12 of them in newspaper when I first moved into Daniel's townhouse. He had held one to the light and said, "Now it looks like somebody lives here." A representative came on the line. I reported the card compromised and asked for a replacement number. Then, transaction by transaction, I began disputing every Harbor Light charge I had not approved. The representative asked whether I recognized the first Harbor Light charge. Yes, I approved the intake deposit. And the 3 after that? No. Did you provide the merchant with permission to keep your card on file? For the deposit, not for recurring payments. On the other side of the bedroom door, a floorboard creaked. The representative explained that the investigation could take up to 90 days. Temporary credits might appear sooner, but I should keep every email, invoice, and authorization record. She canceled the card and read the delivery estimate for the replacement. When I ended the call, Daniel was standing in the doorway. You disputed them? The ones I didn't authorize. Harbor Light will come after Mom. They'll come to the person who signed the renewal. That isn't how this works. It is now. He walked to the dresser and picked a piece of lavender off the wood. You know this affects her account with them. They could suspend service. Then give them your card. I need 5 weeks. You needed 5 weeks this morning. Now you need 5 weeks and $10,000. I said I'll pay it. You also said you were authorized. He dropped the lavender into the blue glass. I was trying to keep a situation from falling apart. It already fell apart. You just put the pieces on my statement. His phone rang. Mom filled the screen. Daniel looked at me as if the call itself proved his point, then answered while walking into the hall. Hi, Mom. No, don't panic. He shut the door. I changed passwords until my wrist hurt. The grocery delivery account, the pharmacy app, the website where I paid the electric bill, the meal service that sent 6 prepared dinners every Monday because Linda disliked the amount of garlic I used when I cooked. I removed my new card number from the household wallet before the replacement card even existed. Downstairs, Daniel's voice traveled through the heating vent. No one is abandoning you. A pause. I'll figure it out. Another pause. I know what she said. That made me stop typing. I had not said anything to Linda that Daniel hadn't heard, but the way he said it turned my words into something whispered in a locked room. The next morning, there was coffee beside my laptop in the laundry room. Daniel had used the heavy ceramic mug with the wide handle because I could hold it without twisting my wrist. A sticky note on the lid said, "Truce until tonight?" I drank the coffee. At 9, Harbor Light called to confirm that my payment method had been removed and that they were reviewing the disputed charges. Leah sounded formal until she asked if I had a minute. "I'm sorry," she said. "I should have verified the authorization directly with you. You asked for written approval." There was a silence. "You saw the email," she said. "Yes." I flagged it for my supervisor at the time. Daniel called before she reviewed it and said there was urgency around Linda's discharge. We should have paused. I could hear office sounds behind her, phones and a printer feeding paper. What happens to Linda's care? Daniel provided a debit account last night. We've converted her to weekly prepayment while the review is open. So she still has coverage? Yes, weekdays 10 to 4. He removed the Friday evening block and transportation add-on. Friday evening was when Linda had dinner with Diane or went to the salon. Transportation had paid for an aide to drive her because Daniel did not want agency employees using Linda's car. Did he keep Nadia on Tuesdays and Thursdays? For now. Linda liked Nadia because she didn't hover and knew how to make soft-boiled eggs without a timer. Good, I said. Leah hesitated. The scheduling portal still lists you as the primary contact. Please remove me. Daniel asked us not to. That doesn't matter. This time, Leah didn't hesitate. No, it doesn't. When I left the laundry room, Daniel was buttoning his coat in the kitchen. Harbor Light reduced Mom's hours, he said. You reduced them. I made the numbers work. That's what paying for something looks like. He picked up his keys from my grandmother's blue bowl. You don't have to enjoy this. I don't. You could have fooled me. He left without eating the toast on his plate. At noon, a text arrived from Linda. I hope proving your point is worth what this is doing to Daniel. I read it while standing at the kitchen counter trying to open a jar of tomato sauce. The rubber grip slipped twice. Usually, I would have called Daniel or left the jar for dinner. Instead, I wedged it against my hip and worked the lid with my left hand until it popped loose hard enough to splash sauce onto my shirt. I sent Linda one sentence. Harbor Light confirmed your weekday care is continuing. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, then returned. This isn't about a schedule. For once, we agreed. I did not answer. The first real consequence arrived disguised as a question about eggs. Nadia texted on Tuesday morning to say Linda was out of them and ask whether I wanted her to add groceries before lunch. I liked Nadia. She had sat with me through 2 aide interviews while Daniel took business calls in the parking lot. She knew I kept Linda's shopping list in the Notes app and that the market on Brighton stocked the low-sodium soup Linda would actually eat. Please contact Daniel, I wrote. Harbor Light has changed the primary contact. Nadia sent a thumbs up. 10 minutes later, she asked for his number. I gave it to her. At 11, Daniel called. Why is Nadia contacting me about groceries? Because you're the primary contact. I'm in the middle of a presentation. Then tell her when you'll be available. This is exactly the kind of petty nonsense I'm talking about. Eggs? You know Mom's routine. So will you. He lowered his voice. Mara, I cannot spend my workday answering questions about soup. I did. You work from home. The words came out easily. That was what made them hurt. My consulting work had paid the electric bill, the groceries, the meal deliveries, and the card he used when his mother needed care. But because I did it from a desk beside the dryer, each hour apparently had handles anyone could grab. I have a client call, I said. He gave a tired laugh. Of course you do. I ended the call. That afternoon, I moved my desk 3 inches away from the dryer. It was all the space the room allowed. I started noticing how often the house asked me to erase myself. Linda's clothes still occupied half the guest room closet. Her mail arrived at our address because she said her condo box was unreliable. The downstairs bathroom held her preferred soap, hand lotion, and the embroidered towels nobody was allowed to use. In the pantry, labels in my handwriting marked which crackers upset her stomach and which tea made her heart race. I put her mail, shoes, toiletries, and pantry items into 2 storage bins. I did not throw out a thing. I stacked the bins neatly in the guest room and closed the door. Daniel found them that evening. "Is Mom being evicted now?" "She hasn't stayed here in 5 weeks. She's recovering. At her home. She may need to come back. Then we can discuss it before she does." He stood in the guest room doorway with one of Linda's church flats in his hand. "You're making the whole house hostile." I put her soap in a bin. "It's the message." "What's the message?" "That she's not welcome." I looked past him at the room, the bedspread Linda had chosen, the reading lamp she had asked us to buy, framed botanical prints from her condo because she said our walls were depressing, a charger attached to the nightstand for a phone that wasn't there. "Where am I welcome?" I asked. His expression softened, but not enough. "Don't do that." "Do what?" "Turn this into some larger indictment of our relationship." I laughed then, one short sound. "I didn't change the billing email, Daniel." He set the shoe on top of the bin. "We have the venue tasting Thursday. Can we please act like adults for one night?" I wanted to tell him I had been acting like an adult all week. Adults canceled compromised cards. Adults kept documents. Adults put shoes in boxes when their owners lived somewhere else. Instead, I said, "I'll be there." He nodded as if we had reached peace. Thursday morning, Harbor Light emailed Daniel about a change to the Friday schedule. Nadia's mother had been hospitalized, and the agency could send a substitute, but Daniel needed to confirm by 2. The email copied me by mistake. I forwarded it to Daniel with no comment. At 2:15, Leah called me. "I know you're no longer the contact," she said, "but we haven't heard from him. Linda won't have evening coverage tomorrow unless he confirms the substitute." I forwarded the email. "Would you mind trying him?" I looked at the clock. Daniel was in a quarterly planning session until 4. "I'm sorry," I said. "You need to follow your escalation process." The old reflex screamed at me to fix it. It took only a call, 30 seconds. Linda would have her aid. Leah would stop worrying. Daniel would never even know a problem had existed. That was how we had arrived here, my 30 seconds layered over my 10 minutes, my card, my workday, my kitchen, until Daniel could stand in a conference room and believe he carried everyone. Leah exhaled. Understood. Daniel didn't check his email until 4:20. By then, the substitute had accepted another shift. He called me from his car. "You saw it?" "Yes." "And you let the deadline pass." "I forwarded it." "You knew I was in planning. You asked to be the contact." "I asked Harbor Light not to drag you into this. Those aren't the same thing." He was quiet for a beat. "I have the bracket dinner tomorrow." The bracket account had occupied our conversations for a month. Daniel's firm was trying to win a facilities contract, and the Friday dinner was the last informal step before bids. "Then ask Diane. She's going to a concert. Ask Harbor Light for another option." "There isn't one." I called. I waited. "Mara, I need you to stay with Mom from 4 to 10. There it was. Not can you? Need you. "We have our tasting tonight," he added. "We can talk about everything. Reset. I can't stay with Linda. You can't or you won't. My wrist is still braced. If she needs physical help, I'm not safe support. She doesn't need lifting. Then she can be alone. She gets dizzy in the evenings." He had found the exact argument I used when I built Linda's schedule. "I'm sorry," I said. "I'm not available." His breathing changed. "After everything I've done for you since you fell. The jar of tomato sauce, the mug with the wide handle, the drives he had begun entering into an invisible ledger. Say the rest," I told him. "What? Tell me how much access to my money and labor I owe you for taking me to surgery. That is not what I said. It's what your mother said. It's what you keep almost saying." "I'm not doing this on the phone." He ended the call. He missed the tasting. I sat alone at a table set for 3 while the venue coordinator brought out miniature crab cakes, 2 kinds of chicken, and slices of cake arranged on white plates. Our wedding planner, Nina, kept glancing at the empty chair beside me. "Should we reschedule?" she finally asked. I looked at the place card with Daniel printed in gold. "No," I said. "Let's taste everything." The lemon cake was better than the chocolate. The cheaper chicken was better than the expensive one. I wrote notes with my left hand while Nina pretended not to notice how badly the letters leaned. Daniel came home after 9 carrying grocery store flowers and a pizza. "Mom's covered tomorrow," he said. "I moved the bracket dinner." "That's good." He put the flowers in a water pitcher because the vase was behind a mixing bowl he didn't want to move. "I'm sorry about the tasting." I closed my laptop. "I'm sorry about all of it," he continued. I should have asked before I kept using the card. I can admit that. The wording was careful. Before I kept using it as if the card were a coffee mug I had left on his side of the sink. He opened the pizza box. I made a spreadsheet. "Of course you did." That almost made him smile. He turned his laptop toward me. Columns of payments filled the screen: mortgage, utilities, groceries, repairs, insurance. His contributions were blue. Mine were yellow. A third column listed what I had supposedly saved by paying less than market rent. "I want you to see that I haven't been taking advantage of you," he said. "If anything, I've been covering more." I scrolled. He had assigned dollar amounts to the weeks he drove me after surgery. He had included the new dishwasher as his expense, though it came with the townhouse. He had credited Linda's occasional grocery runs to his column. Then I reached the section labeled Family Care. 4 Harbor Light payments appeared in blue. I looked up at him. Daniel's face went still. On his own spreadsheet in the private accounting he had built to prove his goodness, he had counted $10,000 charged to my card as money he had provided. "I can explain that," he said. "I'd love to hear it." The sheet pulls from the account categories. I marked the Harbor Light payments as family expenses because that's what they are. You mark them as your contributions. That column means household side. It says Daniel. I know what it says. He sat beside me and reached for the trackpad. I moved the laptop out of his reach. "Don't fix it yet." "I'm not fixing anything. I'm showing you the formula." "You told yourself you paid these." "No, I didn't." "You told the agency. You told your mother. You sat there while she thanked you. Now it's in the budget you made to prove how much you do for me." His chair scraped back. "I spent 3 hours on this because you insisted on treating our relationship like an audit. I asked why you used my card. And I admitted I should have asked. You didn't forget to ask. You made sure the receipts stopped coming to me." He closed the pizza box, though neither of us had taken a slice. Grease had already darkened the cardboard beneath it. "You want me to be the villain so badly that nothing I say matters. I want you to look at what you did without describing my reaction to it." "I am looking at it." "No, you're looking for the version where you're still generous." That landed. He turned his face away as if I'd slapped him, and for 1 weak second I wanted to take it back. Daniel could be generous. He remembered the names of receptionists. He tipped movers before they began. Once during a rainstorm, he had spent 40 minutes helping a stranger push a stalled car out of an intersection, then arrived at dinner soaked and embarrassed by everyone's attention. I had loved that man. The trouble was that his generosity needed a witness. My work happened after the witness went home. He took his laptop upstairs. The flowers remained in the pitcher, their stems still wrapped in plastic. The next morning, the temporary credits from my card company appeared. By lunch, Harbor Light notified Daniel that the disputed amount had been transferred to Linda's outstanding account while they reviewed his authorization. Linda called me 6 times. On the 7th, I answered. "You accused Daniel of stealing." I disputed charges. "You used the word unauthorized. That's what they were. He was protecting me." "From what?" "From being left helpless while the people who claim to love me debate money." Her voice shook. The effect might have been deliberate, but the fear underneath it was real. Linda had spent 3 hours on a bathroom floor before Diane found her. She had told that story exactly once, in clipped sentences, staring at her own hands. "I'm not asking you to go without care," I said. "You keep hiding behind that sentence. I'm asking Daniel to pay for the contract he signed." "He's trying. The condo sale will settle all of this." A call-waiting tone sounded on her end. She read the name and went quiet. "Who is it?" I asked. "The realtor." She disconnected without saying goodbye. Daniel came home before 3. He never came home before 6 unless he was sick. He placed his phone and keys beside the blue bowl instead of inside it. The buyer walked. I stood at the kitchen sink, rinsing the coffee mug he had left upstairs. Why? Inspection. They found moisture behind the kitchen cabinets and problems with the electrical panel. The buyer wanted a $42,000 credit. Can Linda relist? She can't sell it like that. She could lower the price. That won't leave enough for care. He leaned against the counter. For the first time since the meeting, he did not look angry. He looked tired and frightened. "I have maybe 3 weeks before this turns into a real problem," he said. It was already a real problem. "You know what I mean." I dried the mug. "What are you asking me for?" "A personal loan would let us settle the Harbor Light balance, do the essential repairs, and relist. Then apply for one." I did. The rate is awful with my utilization. The bank hadn't flagged his card at Linda's intake. It had been nearly maxed out, exactly as he'd told me before revising the story in the car. "I need a cosigner," he said. "No." His head lifted. "You haven't even heard the amount. It could be $100. The answer is no. It's $25,000, short term. Daniel, the condo has plenty of equity. Then Linda can borrow against it. She doesn't qualify on her income. So I'm supposed to qualify on mine for debt attached to a house I don't own? You'd be helping your future family. I've already been helping." He walked to the sink and turned off the faucet I had left trickling. "If we don't fix the condo, Mom can't sell it. If she can't sell it, I have to cover her care. That affects our life too. Our life already paid $10,000, and you may get all of that back. It was mine before I had to get it back." He stared at the brace on my wrist, then at the mug in my hand. "I don't recognize you right now." The sentence was supposed to hurt. Instead, it opened a small, clean space in my chest. "I'm starting to," I said. He slept in the guest room. For 2 days, we moved around each other with formal politeness. Daniel took every call from Harbor Light. He left work early to drive Linda to physical therapy. He bought her groceries and came home with the wrong soup, then went back out when she complained. He did not ask me to fix anything. Watching him try was worse than watching him avoid it. It reminded me that he had always been capable. On Sunday morning, he made pancakes and set my plate at the kitchen table. The flowers had begun to droop in their pitcher. "I moved some things around," he said. "Mom's covered through the month." "How?" "I took an advance from my line of credit." I waited. "And she agreed to cancel the salon rides," he added. "Diane will take her." "That sounds reasonable." He sat across from me. "I want us to stop punishing each other." "I'm not punishing you. It feels like you're disappearing while sitting right in front of me." That was honest enough to make me put down my fork. He reached across the table but stopped before touching my brace. "I know I screwed up. I got scared. Mom was coming home. She needed everything, and every option cost money I didn't have. You always know how to make things work." "So you let me?" "Yes." His eyes stayed on mine. "I let you. Too much." It was the closest he had come to understanding. Then he said, "If you withdraw the disputes, Harbor Light will reverse the outstanding balance. I'll pay you directly over the next few months." I sat back. His hand remained between us. "You need me to trust you, so the agency will trust you." "I'm asking for breathing room." "No." He pulled his hand away. "Then what is the point of any of this?" "That's what I'm trying to figure out." The venue emailed Monday about a failed installment from our wedding account. I called Nina during lunch. It may just be a bank error, she said. The account rejected the draft. If we rerun it by Wednesday, you'll keep the date. I logged in while she waited. Our balance had been $18,420 after the tasting deposit. It was now $3,870. There were 2 transfers to Daniel's checking and 1 cashier's check withdrawal. The dates began the afternoon the condo sale fell through. My mouth went dry. Nina, don't rerun it. We can hold for 48 hours, but after that, I understand. I didn't, not fully. My mind kept stopping at the same number. I had deposited $11,000 into that account. Daniel had deposited $5,000, and our gifts to each other had filled some of the rest. He answered on the second ring. Tell me you didn't use the wedding account. Silence. Mara, I was going to talk to you tonight. For Linda's care? Some of it. The electrician needed a deposit to start at the condo. You asked me to co-sign a loan. I said no. This is our money. It was for our wedding, and I'm trying to save it. By emptying the account that pays for it? If the condo doesn't sell, we can't start married life with this hanging over us. You transferred $14,550. I kept records. I nearly laughed. Put it back by Wednesday. I can't. Then the venue releases the date. You would throw away our deposit over 48 hours. You already spent the payment. We can delay the wedding. You didn't delay it. You took the money and waited for me to find out. His voice lowered. Please don't make a permanent decision while you're angry. You keep making decisions permanent before I know they exist. I ended the call and told Nina to release the date. The deposit we lost was enough to make me physically ill. I closed the laundry room door, sat beneath the shelf of detergent, and pressed my forehead to the edge of the desk until the nausea passed. By dinner, Linda had told Diane that I canceled the wedding because Daniel refused to abandon his injured mother. By 9, 2 of Daniel's cousins had sent messages asking me to reconsider. Daniel didn't come home. I muted the family thread and opened a rental site. The furnished studio was above a dentist's office 15 minutes away. The kitchen had 1 narrow counter, the bedroom faced a brick wall, and the front room held a small desk beside a south-facing window. I filled out the application. The doorbell rang the next afternoon while I was taking a client call. Diane stood on the porch holding an envelope and the blue ribbon key that had hung beside our pantry. I took this from Linda, she said. I let her inside. She had a copy made for me last year, Diane explained, in case she needed me to get her things when you weren't home. I didn't know. I gathered that. She placed the key in my palm. The ribbon was frayed near the knot. I owe you an apology, she said. A real one. Not Linda's version where the apology explains why the insult was necessary. I didn't make it easier for her. Diane looked toward the guest room where the storage bins were visible through the open door. Daniel told us he had been paying your medical bills and covering the house while you weren't working. I thought you were letting him manage his mother and then complaining about sharing him. My insurance paid the surgery. I reduced my hours for 2 weeks. I know that now. She handed me the envelope. Inside were printed screenshots from the family group chat. Daniel had described Harbor Light as a shared expense. He wrote that I handled the card because he handled the mortgage. After the care meeting, he told them I had suddenly changed my mind. One message from Linda said, she was happy to be family when it benefited her. I'm not giving you these to stir things up, Diane said. I'm giving them to you because he's making you argue against a story you didn't know he told. I sat at the kitchen table. Diane touched the blue bowl on the console, turning it slightly with one finger. Linda said this was hers, my grandmother's. I thought so. It doesn't look like Linda. After she left, I carried the bowl upstairs. I packed it in newspaper, then wrapped the tumbler from the dresser, lavender and all. One by one, I took the remaining blue glasses from the kitchen shelf. When Daniel came home, 6 pale rings remained in the dust where they had stood. He looked at the box, then at me. What are you doing? My phone buzzed with an email from the rental office. Application approved. I folded the top of the box closed. I'm taking my things out of your house. Daniel stared at the box as though the glasses had packed themselves. You applied for an apartment? A studio. When? Last night. You canceled our wedding and rented an apartment in the same 24 hours. You spent the wedding money first. I moved it. I didn't spend all of it. The electrician's deposit came out of your checking? His jaw shifted. How much is left? I asked. I don't know exactly. You made a spreadsheet to charge me for rides to my own surgery, but you don't know how much of my $11,000 is left. I was trying to save my mother's home. You were trying to save every choice except mine. He stepped between me and the bedroom door, not close enough to frighten me, but close enough that I noticed he had done it. You're not thinking clearly. I picked up the box with my left arm supporting the bottom. Pain flashed through my wrist. Daniel reached for it automatically. Give me that. No. You're going to hurt yourself. Move. He did. That was the worst part. Some piece of him still knew how to care for me. It simply believed care entitled him to decide what happened next. I carried the box downstairs and set it by the front door. I'll transfer the wedding money back, he said behind me. You told me you couldn't. I'll borrow from someone. Who? He didn't answer. Diane? I asked. His eyes narrowed. What did she say to you? She returned the key Linda had copied for her. She had that for emergencies. A secret key to my home was an emergency plan? My home, he snapped. The words struck cleanly because they were true. The deed was his. The mortgage was his. In every argument, he called it ours until ownership became useful. Yes, I said, your home. His anger collapsed as quickly as it had appeared. That came out wrong. It came out accurate. I took the engagement ring off. A pale indentation circled my finger. Daniel watched me place it on the console where the blue bowl had been. Don't do this, he said. I'm not doing it now. I'm finally admitting it happened. He leaned both hands on the console. Because of money? Because you needed to believe you were carrying me while I carried everything you didn't want to see. That isn't fair. It's in your spreadsheet. He closed his eyes. I went upstairs for another box. My studio lease began Saturday. Until then, I slept behind the locked bedroom door and packed around Daniel's attempts to repair us. He offered couples counseling. He offered to postpone the wedding instead of canceling it. He offered to sell his car, though every offer ended with a request. Withdraw the disputes, return Linda's key, call the venue, tell Diane she misunderstood. I transferred the remaining $3,870 from the wedding account into my personal savings. It did not cover what I had contributed, but it stopped the balance from becoming zero. I removed my name from the electric and internet accounts effective at the end of the billing cycle. I canceled the meal deliveries. I changed the pharmacy app so Linda's prescriptions no longer defaulted to my card. Each withdrawal produced a new emergency. Daniel discovered the internet bill while trying to join a video meeting. Linda ran out of hand lotion and called him from the drugstore aisle. The refrigerator contained mustard, half a carton of eggs, and 3 meal service containers he had forgotten to freeze. He accused me of dismantling the household. I told him I was taking my part with me. On Friday, Harbor Light requested an account resolution meeting. The card issuer had ruled provisionally in my favor, but Harbor Light could submit additional documentation. The branch manager wanted every party present before determining who remained responsible for the disputed balance and Linda's future service. You have to come, Daniel said. I don't have to. They need you to confirm we shared expenses. We shared some expenses. If you tell them that, this goes away. For you. For all of us. Mom keeps Nadia, the agency gets paid, and I reimburse you. You already had that arrangement. You didn't reimburse me. He was quiet, then said, if you don't help, they'll cancel her. There was no rage in his voice now, just exhaustion. I thought of Linda on her bathroom floor. I thought of Nadia's steady hands and the soft-boiled eggs. Then I thought of the sentence Daniel had written to the agency. I'm authorized to approve family medical expenses. I'll attend, I said. I won't lie. The studio smelled faintly of toothpaste from the dentist's office below. Its furniture consisted of a gray couch, a round table, a bed, and a desk scarred with 3 dark lines. Sunlight reached across the front room until late afternoon. Diane helped me move. She carried lamps and clothes while I handled small things with my left hand. Daniel stayed upstairs until she lifted the last box. As I reached for my coat, he came down holding the blue ribbon key. You forgot this. I opened my palm. He placed it there and closed my fingers around it. His thumb rested briefly against the edge of my brace. I never wanted you to feel like a guest, he said. You wanted me to act like an owner without having the right to say no. His eyes filled and he looked away. I wanted him to argue. Anger would have made leaving simpler. Instead, he nodded once. I left the ring on the console. The Harbor Light meeting was held in the same conference room. The blue ceramic cup still held the pens, though someone had turned the painted houses toward the wall. Linda sat beside Daniel. Diane took a chair near the door. Leah and the branch manager had organized several folders into a straight line. Daniel looked thinner. His silver watch was gone. The branch manager began with the account history. Harbor Light accepted responsibility for failing to verify my consent after Leah requested updated approval. The agency would not challenge my card dispute. My original deposit remained valid. The 3 recurring payments and incidental fees would be credited permanently. A faint buzzing filled my ears. It was not joy. It was the release of a muscle I had forgotten I was clenching. The remaining balance belongs to Linda Mercer's account, the manager continued. Mr. Mercer signed the renewal as responsible payer and subsequently provided his debit authorization. We can offer a payment schedule, but continued service will require weekly prepayment. Linda turned on him. You said the card company would reject her claim. I said they might. You promised Nadia could stay. She can if we work out the payments. With what money? Daniel's face reddened. I'm handling it. The old phrase sounded smaller in that room. He looked at me. Mara, please tell them we shared household finances. We shared household expenses and family expenses. Some. Your card paid for groceries, utilities, repairs. My card paid bills I authorized. Linda shook her head. Listen to how she talks, like we're strangers. The branch manager folded her hands. Ms. Ellis, did you authorize Mr. Mercer to approve ongoing care charges? No. Did you agree to be financially responsible for the renewal he signed? No. Daniel slid a sheet of paper toward me. It was a printout from our joint checking account highlighted in yellow. He had marked transfers between us, grocery purchases, and my share of the venue deposits. We were building a life together, he said. You can't separate every dollar after the fact. I'm not trying to. Then what are you doing? I looked at the renewal in his folder. The bottom corner was still crushed from the day he had folded it in his fist. You keep asking everyone to recognize what I owed, I said. So tell me one thing clearly. Which obligation is yours? His mouth opened. Your mother's care? I asked. The contract you signed? The wedding money you moved? Pick one and put your name on it without adding mine. Linda reached for his sleeve. You don't have to answer that. He looked down at her hand. For years, Linda's need had given him a place to be heroic. My competence had funded the performance. Now the agency wanted an account number. Linda wanted the same care, and I wanted only an answer he could not divide between 2 women. The renewal is mine, he said at last. The manager pushed a payment plan form toward him. And the disputed balance? She asked. Mine. Linda pulled her hand back. Daniel, you cannot afford that. I know. The condo repairs. We'll have to wait. What am I supposed to do? He turned to her. Reduce the hours, sell as is, or use a different agency. We have to choose. We? You and me. Linda stared at him as if he had changed languages. Diane spoke from near the door. "I can take you to physical therapy on Tuesdays, not every appointment and not errands afterward." Linda gave her a wounded look. Diane held it. "That's what I can offer." Leah brought in a revised care schedule. Nadia could stay 2 days a week, with a second aide covering 3 shorter shifts. Transportation and evening coverage would end. It was not what Linda wanted. It was enough to keep her safe while she recovered and made decisions about the condo. Daniel signed the payment plan. This time, he used a pen from the ceramic cup and read every page. In the parking lot, Linda caught up with me. Her walk was steadier than it had been at the first meeting. She still used the careful, shortened step when anyone watched. "You got what you wanted," she said. "My money back?" My son humiliated. He signed a contract. "You broke him down until he took all the blame." I glanced through the glass doors. Daniel stood at Leah's desk, entering his debit information. He took responsibility for one thing. "You left when we needed you. You called me a burden while spending my money." Her lips pressed together. For once, she did not find a prettier version of the sentence. "I was angry," she said. "He was exhausted. You were always telling us what needed to be done, because you kept asking me to do it. You liked being needed." That surprised me because it was true. I had liked knowing the schedule, the passwords, the right soup. I had liked being the person who could keep a household from wobbling. It let me confuse usefulness with belonging. "I did," I said. Linda's expression shifted. She had expected a fight, not agreement. Then Daniel came through the doors. He stopped beside his mother. "I need to take you home." Linda looked from him to me. "She canceled the wedding." "I know." "She left you with all this." He watched me for a long second. "No," he said. "It was already mine." He opened the passenger door for her. 3 weeks later, he sold his SUV and bought an older sedan. Diane told me because Linda had complained about the seats. The sale paid Harbor Light's initial installment and part of the condo repairs. Linda relisted at a lower price and moved to the reduced care plan. Daniel emailed me a repayment schedule for the wedding money. It was modest and painfully specific. I accepted it without reopening a conversation about us. My wrist brace came off in early spring. The first evening I could carry a full box safely, I drove to the townhouse for the last of my things. Daniel left them inside the front door. 2 books, a winter coat, and 1 blue tumbler wrapped in a dish towel. "You missed it above the refrigerator," he said. The pale ring where it had stood remained in the dust. I tucked the glass into my coat pocket. At the studio, the late sun filled the front room. I unwrapped the tumbler and set it beside the others on the narrow kitchen shelf. The blue bowl held my keys near the door. The lavender glass stood on the desk. I filled the last tumbler with water, turned the key in my own lock, and listened to the small, solid click.